Let me put it this way. You might forget the face of your first girlfriend, but buying your first comic book is something you never forget. Sorry, love, that's the truth. Wake me up in the middle of the night and I will tell you exactly what the weather was like, which kiosk I bought it from, and most importantly, describe the cover. The scent of glossy paper and the ink, the feel of the pages, the rustle as you flip through them, the dazzling artwork. Compared to the reading list at school, that was something else entirely. An explosion of color, fast-paced action, humor, and, well, yeah, violence. Sure, I got that the hero was exaggerated and the villain was completely insane, but the crazier the villain, the better. Well, for the record, I do remember you, sweetie, but you know, a comic book is a comic book. A comic book always looks brand new if well taken care of. There's no joy in having a damaged copy because you can't proudly display it on your shelf and you can't just throw it away either. Some issues I don't even open or read. I've got duplicates in slightly worse conditions for that. Daily use editions, you could say. And the finest ones? Sealed up in a protective sleeve with a backing board, stored safely away from dust, moisture and sunlight. That's the collector's paradox. Things that meant to be admired are often locked away in a dry, dark, airtight boxes. Then again, my treasures must be admired daily. Essentially, the comic never stands still. The line evolves. And only after longer exposure to one volume after another do you start to pick up on the nuances, the hues of both art and storyline. It was in the 90s that we finally had the chance to travel decades back and start catching up on what we'd missed. At the time, Poland saw the release of a handful of big-name series, but we knew that across the ocean, there were still hundreds of characters, each with their own story, a wondrous multiverse. Most of the more or less superheroes and heroines, as ladies were not lacking, were forgotten, but luckily they came alive again thanks to film. As for Polish editions of comic books, you had to be pretty forgiving at the start, to put it mildly. You could get annoyed by typos on the first pages or a price sticker crudely slapped onto the cover, but what they achieve? A flawed copy like that can actually fetch a better price now than an error-free one. That's another paradox of collecting. I remember that hunger, the wait for the next issue, hanging around the kiosk to check the display thoroughly, maybe it was hiding somewhere, and that joy when it arrived. Here, we'd get one issue of a series per month, while overseas, multiple series featuring the same hero were released at the same time. Let me be clear on this. Though we, comic book readers, were, and still are, grateful for the hundreds of foreign comics published in Poland in the 90s, back then, we probably didn't realize just how groundbreaking those series would be, and that 30 years later, they would still be alive, sought after and praised. Were those comics better than modern ones? Or better than European ones, which were also released in droves? That's a matter of taste, or a tribalism of sorts. We, the American comic book fans, versus the Torgal and Kaikon Kokos readers. Sometimes the divides were clear-cut and rigid. Other times, they proved less than set in stone. Speaking of which, I will admit I had something of a fling once. The cover alone was attractive enough, but a certain scene inside even more so. I won't give you the details, there might be kids here. I'm talking about Szninkel by Rosiński and Banam. Even now, I get chills reading it. I have the first Orbit edition, the original French edition, and the full-colored Egmont release, all in mint condition. I can see you are itching to have it, but they are not for sale, sorry. However, I do have something else. I managed to wind that tape in. We agreed on a price, didn't we? 100 if I recall? Now, let me play you a different track. You might like this one even more. You can't be serious, not again, it's stuck. Where's that pen? Well, if you fancy, take a look at these genuine issues. Hands clean, I hope? No folding, no tearing pages, and when you're done, go to the tall rack with VHS boxes and press number 4. to hear the next recording. Right, do we have it? Okay. I think we'd better drop off the old flame bit. She might come to the exhibition. It's the wife after all. What do you reckon?